Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me? Just let me know in the chat and we'll get started with the tournament right away. Alright, perfect. I figured you could. Just making sure though. So, welcome to the New Blood tournament. This is a tournament for new players exclusively. And it's always interesting to watch new players play because you never know what characters they're going to pick. You never know what tactics they're going to use. They might use some unorthodox tactics that are against the rules, so to speak. At least the rules that pro players abide by. So, and some of them are really aggressive, some of them are really passive, some somewhere in between too. And the amount of experience they might have against the AI or against pros will vary a little bit. So, really curious to see what happens. I have no idea who's gonna win or what characters most of these people will use. So, welcome, and I'm sure it'll be a blast. There is not a champion title on the line, though, just to be clear. Instead, the Rising Star role is on the line. So that just means you are a champion among your peers as a noob, but you haven't like crossed swords with the pros at a competitive level yet. Still, it is quite an achievement for a new player, I would say. I'll also be handing out tourney participant roles. This will allow you to participate in more serious tournaments in the future. Because I know especially Venator prefers to have trusted players enter his tournament, so this will, if you can participate in my tourney, obviously you are trustworthy, and so you can then participate. Anyway, with that out of the way, I have the names set up already. It's going to be Raven Gaming against Seal Choker. And all the announcements will be in tourney talks, not tourney calls, because nobody, as far as I know, except for Musashi and Louch Cascade, has the tourney participant role. So those two are obviously favorites because they have fought pros before, but you never know what will happen in these sorts of tournaments. So yeah, I'm just gonna ping you. Musashi, the Katana Wakizashi combo. Yeah, that is a pretty cool weapon set for sure. That'd be if there's something like actually there will be something like that in the game because I believe because the saber and the dagger. But oh yeah, that's a good point, Bea. I will join the commentators chat, so when you're participating, you can shut off the stream and just listen to my voice that way instead of taking up bandwidth. So I'm gonna join that channel right now. All right, so the stage is started. You can join on the Discord as well. Obviously, the action will be happening on the stream though. Okay, so Sealed Choker is trying to join. There we go. I think Raven was trying to join too, but disconnected. You can try again, of course. I might have just not selected it properly. All right, there's Raven Gaming. They both have Parsec, which is good. Obviously, issues are expected. Unfortunately, Raven's having issues with their connection. Okay. I did expect issues going in because obviously a lot of you guys are getting used to Parsec and all the rest of it, so that's all good. It seems to be something on your end though, Raven, from what Parsec's telling me, so having issues logging in, yeah, that's why. Okay. Okay, what we can do is while you're logging in, if that takes some time. I'm willing to wait, of course, but we can move on to the second match if this takes a little bit too long, and then we'll go back to you. Seal Choker's gonna have to go out of his element and choke a bird instead, Zero says. Alright, so we'll just wait a little bit, and if not, we'll skip over and go back. In the meantime, we can just chat. Yeah, you gotta play the opposite sides. Yeah, that is not what I didn't obviously choose that on purpose, but that's how randomness goes sometimes. Got two siblings fighting in the next fight, so that'll be really cool. Not afraid to try new things, that's good. Yeah, Happy New Year to folks in Asia. Obviously, New Year's Eve has passed for them, I believe, so. And Happy New Year to all the other viewers, too. Kind of nice to do this on New Year's Eve, actually, I think. Alright, we're taking a little bit. I think we'll just go on to the next one. I think these two have reliable connections, so Seal Choker, we're just gonna skip over your fight for now. Don't worry about it. Just let me deal with the names here. Oh, whoops. Smooth and Sinister, if you aren't in the tournament already, it's too late. But you usually would join through not Parsec, through a challenge. I sent the challenge link earlier, so. Oh, you're registered? Then you're in. Then you should be in the tournament. Oh yeah, I see your name. Yeah, you're good. Yeah, never mind. Alright, I'll send you guys the link. How do you fight with other people? You do it for Parsec. That's not good if you don't know how to use Parsec and you signed up. Okay, Bea and Google 'em. Let's get you both in. You gotta download Parsec Smooth and Sinister, so just download that and make an account. It's pretty easy. It's free, and obviously people in the Discord can help you out if you're having issues, but yeah, that'll work, Seal Choker. Off to a little bit of a rough start, but that's not a big deal. Okay, Googleum's in, and Bea is in. Oh, of course you can. You should be able to hear my voice during the tournament. Yeah, Bea, I know. B, okay. Anyway, I can. It's better if you can hear my voice. So I'd prefer it if you didn't deafen yourself, but. But anyway, they're both in now, so that's good. Alright. So, Bea, you are on the left, of course, so. Okay, she is in. Googleum's in as well, perfect. And we're seeing a Marta. Against the Samuel. Are you guys having trouble? Sometimes there's a bug with selecting Samuel. So go ahead, B. What? Okay, you're pressing whatever button goes back. You're pressing that by mistake. So make sure you press the button that selects. I don't know what gamepad you're using, but usually that's A on the Xbox controller. The bottom one. Yes, go ahead. It seemed to be working before. You just pressed the wrong button. Isabella. Was that on purpose? Okay. You can pause the game if that was not on purpose, and we can go back. Okay. Was that not on purpose? Yes, it wasn't. Okay. I figured as much, but... Alright, go ahead. What's going... Are you able to move? You were able to move before. Yeah, you can move. Okay. Marta. Okay, I figured you wanted Marta. Marta against Samuel, this is not a matchup I've seen a whole lot of. I've done it myself, though. I think Marta does a little bit better than Marie does in this matchup, so I'm really interested to see how B does here. Alright, there's a cut by Google there. Samuel has really long reach of his cuts, though. And here we go, he closes down the line and manages to get a cut in. Yeah, I like to see Marta as well. There's a good stab, actually, taking a cut to the arm in turn, but it wasn't a big deal. So B got a point on the board. Oh yeah, there's a high guard. I think Google wants to make good use of that reach that Samuel has. Because Marta's rapier is short, there isn't necessarily a reach advantage here. And Google gets another kill. Samuel has those strikes where he steps right in and does a cut, so he has more reach than you think he does oftentimes. I'd argue he's more reliable at killing too, but some of Marta's stabs are brutal too, as we just saw there, in fact. There was a really good stab by B. Alright, long guard. They both stab past each other, but in the pocket, I think Samuel is a little bit better off because of that saber, so Google, I'm getting another point. Interesting blade away. I wonder if that was on purpose. And then there's the long guard. Guglam's doing a good job. He's closing down the center line, so the thrusts, even if they get through, often don't hit with as much damage as you think they would. And oftentimes they don't even hit if you do it right, so very well done on his part. Closing that distance and getting a cut. Stab out of distance there by B. I think that was a mistake because it could have been capitalized on. There we go. Google getting an advantage in this match for sure. Fighters switch sides. I was told it's B, Vineyard, so I don't know. Usually you pronounce it Bea, but I don't know. Are they having trouble? Hang on. Okay, Raven's able to log in. That's perfect. And go ahead and select when you're ready. I will switch the names up too. So it's B having some issues there. Yeah, absolutely. I'd pronounce it something like that too, but yeah. How many rounds? Well, it depends, but it's best of three. So obviously, if Googlom wins another one here, it's gonna be two only. There'll be a third if B can win one. Trying to reconnect. Okay. Yeah, it didn't notify me for some reason. That makes sense. All right, you're in now, so. Yeah, two wins if one person wins both of them. Oh yeah, that's true. B isn't at her normal setup, so your friend's insane and reverse mapped all the buttons in the controller. Well, that sucks. I don't know. I don't think there's anything we can. Oh, it's fixed. Okay. So were you fighting them in that match like that? Yes, we're switching sides. Wow. Okay. That's tough. I think you did well considering that. Yeah. Good. Okay. Let me switch up the names actually, so I just don't forget. Makes things less confusing for the viewers. Yeah, go ahead. All right, Samuel and Marta again. Bit of a clashing of blades there, and then we get a double. That's often what happens if you're not defending yourself and you just run into the rapier like that. You can still end up cutting the head, though. Many rapier characters are vulnerable to that kind of a swing. Another big cut. However, he gets stabbed. Yeah, there's no. They're both on a gamepad as far as I know, so. But that is a good point. Good sidestep by Googlom there. Googlom was doing a good job of out-positioning his opponent. B has to find a way to adapt. B with a big stab attempt there. It almost landed. A bit out of range. Low guard by Googlom there. Yeah, this a tactic I sometimes like using, but you have to be careful you don't miss input by doing a guard you didn't mean to do. It is a good strategy, though. Some lunges there, they don't land. So some aggression on both sides. Oh, I was going to say nobody got hit, but B got a good stab to the armpit there. Now that B has her controller working properly, we might see a better performance here. Yeah, Googlom is playing really well. It can be hard, a little bit hard to close in on the rapier, but he's not giving up. He got hit a little bit there. B's doing a good job of trying to maintain distance. Well, they both try stabbing each other. Unfortunately, that lunge, when you're really close, sometimes misses with Samuel. Stab attempt by B, but her blade gets caught, and so she gets cut. Gugelon with some big cuts. And B is backing away. Oh, there's the blade away stand, so that could have been really dangerous. She went for a stab, but again, Gugelum just sidesteps and cuts to the arm. Gugelum just needs 2 more now, so I'm sure he's feeling very good about his prospects here, as he should. Interesting leg void there by Samuel. It was completely unnecessary, but cuts to the blade there. Gugelum's trying to beat the blade. Sometimes against Marta that doesn't really pan out. I think often you just gotta go for the hit instead of the blade. And there you go, right as I say that, he lunges in with a high guard cut to the arm. Gugelum following my advice, I guess. And then B got a slight stab and, ooh, cut to the neck, and then a slash to the belly. Unfortunately for B, Gugelum has won it. Accidental rematch there. Sorry, B, but that's the end of your time in the tournament. You got eliminated, so. Good effort nonetheless, especially working with a controller that didn't feel very nice with the bad controls. Alright. So now we'll go back to the original match that we were going to start here. Since everything's in order. Alright, I'll send you guys the link here. Yeah, it is intense. You get used to the pressure over time though as you get more experience, so. But there's no question, even pro players feel the pressure sometimes. Very fun experience nonetheless. I'm glad you can't wait to do one at home. That's probably a bit better too. Keep in mind, B was not on the best setup, internet-wise, so I think considering that she did well. And had the right idea too, the right mindset with Marta, trying to maintain that distance. Yeah, absolutely, she did well. And I just pinged you both, by the way, Raven Gaming and Seal Choker, you are both up. Yeah, it was fun to watch as well. Nobody seems to be trying to join at the moment, so I don't know what's going on with them. Yeah, Vinard's a champion, so he definitely knows what he's doing, and he gets excited sometimes. A little over. Yeah, Sealed Choker, you gotta click the link. There you go. Okay, so we got Sealed Choker here. I'm waiting for Raven Gaming. Raven Gaming, there you go. Okay, do you both use keyboard or do you use a gamepad? I should have asked that about the other two, but it's good to know because obviously if I don't give you keyboard access, then you can't do much of anything if you're on keyboard, so. Waiting to see some Isabella, G-Man says, yeah. I think we're gonna see some, but you never know. I mean, longsword is a really popular weapon these days, thanks to HEMA and whatnot, so you're on arcade sticks. Your gamepad should be fine. That's interesting. Okay. So Raven, you are on the left. So make sure you select first. Yeah, a lot of players definitely do like the longsword. It's a really cool weapon. It's one of my favorite swords too. My favorite's honestly the great sword though, but obviously great swords are unbalanced compared to all these other weapons, so we won't be seeing any of that in the game, but that's all good. Sabers and longswords though as well, when it comes to weapons that are sidearms, those are really cool as well. Okay, so we saw Laszlo and we saw Marie. It's really interesting. Okay, so Shield Choker just basically walked forward and then got stabbed. Unfortunately, the thing with Laszlo's guard is he doesn't defend his body against thrusts so well. Oftentimes, you have to manually defend. And I think Shield Choker knows what to do, yes. However, he got poked a bunch of times there. So it's not going well for him, even with that long guard. Marie can sometimes get right past an enemy's long guard. Thankfully, they're mostly superficial hits, but it did take a toll on his stamina. Oh, he got stabbed again. You never know. We might see rapiers dominate these fights because a lot of noobs don't have the technical skill. And so it can be very easy to leave yourself open to a rapier thrust. Okay, so Shield Choker's trying to keep that blade at bay and get a positional advantage, but he's not closing the distance. He has a reach disadvantage, so being unable to close in, he's getting stabbed. Yeah, I agree with Zero. The problem is he's not currently playing it right at the moment, I would say. That was a good attempt to try and beat the blade, but his opponent wasn't holding long guard. Ooh. Moved to the side a little bit, but just got stabbed immediately. Raven might be someone to watch out for here, because Raven Gaming is finding those stabs, using his reach advantage well, too. Yeah, and he's keeping distance. He's not in a rush to close in. He doesn't need to be. Just another stab to the body there. Flawless win. Make sure you now switch sides. I'm just going to switch up the names real quick. We might see Shield Choker make a character switch. I'm not sure, though. And Zero says he's the expert of screwing up against Marie, so who is he to talk? I don't know if I'd go that far, but somebody went back. I think they were trying to go for the Marie mirror, which makes sense. Your opponent's been dominating with Rapier. I guess if you're comfortable with Rapier, then that could be a good idea. Somebody's pressing the button that goes back and not the button that selects again. Yeah, make sure you press A on your controller, or whatever the equivalent is. Yeah, Raven Gaming should probably scare you at this point, because Raven Gaming knows how to use that Rapier. Good, alright. Hit select button. So will the mirror match help Shield Choker? Shield Choker on the left. Gets a quick stab in there. Tries rushing in again, and actually gets the stab there. I thought he was going to get stabbed by Raven there, but not quite. Because rushing in like that is often very reckless in a Rapier match like this. So Raven Gaming's playing it really passive. So is his opponent, actually, so they're a little bit hesitant to engage here, which is understandable. Now Raven's kind of poking and prodding, and then there's a double. Come on, guys, show us a bloodbath, Flavka says. Yeah, I'd love to see a bloodbath, too. We might see one. Rapier fights can be pretty nasty, but so far they're trying to play it really safe right now. But there's a low guard by a Seal Choker, then going back to neutral. That was a good sidestep stab by Seal. Oh, but an Incortada by Raven. So it's 1-1. That was nicely done. Zero's like, I like the aggression, and then or not. Yeah. They really want this win. That's really good to see. Seal Choker learning from his mistakes. Raven Gaming keeping distance, and then there's a stab. I think that cut was accidental on Seal's part. Seal probably wanted to throw some kind of stab. Because that cut didn't do much of anything except open him up. Early day Marie Academy memories, yep. That's a good point, Pekkala. I remember those days. Ooh, stab to the leg by Seal. And that does cause a limp, so that was a pretty devastating injury, actually. Raven's got to play this pretty carefully and patiently. But Seal is also playing carefully too, so I think he's doing the right thing here. Interesting, Raven's cutting and backing away, but that could make him tired. Stab attempts by both, but nobody actually lands. Even that cut didn't land. However, Raven does get a slight stab in there. Actually, really well played by both fencers so far. Oh, and then they stab each other. It's very easy to do in Rapier for sure. Especially if you're newer to the game. Yes, when you get aggressive, it can be good to keep momentum going. I'd say your opponent can adapt sometimes, though, so you got to be a little bit careful. But if your opponent's way too passive, absolutely, aggression can be the way to go. I found that as well in even some recent matches, in fact. Good stab there by Raven. His opponent getting a bit too close. Now Raven once again has an advantage. Seal has to figure something out here. Seal with a sidestep stab after Raven rushes in. Raven being a bit too aggressive now. That's how quickly it can end if you rush in without regard for defense. Marie has some good rushes, don't get me wrong. You just gotta time them properly. Especially if you catch someone outside of long guard. That's really where those rushes can work. Bit of a bluff charge type thing by Seal there. I don't think Seal intended to hit his opponent. He wanted to unsettle his opponent more than anything. Now they're both kind of making blade contact, but they're staying just outside their effective range. Stab attempt by Raven. His opponent parries it, though. The nice thing about Marie's neutral guard is, to some extent, she can still defend thrust. It's just not quite as effective. And then Raven getting a solid kill there. Just needs one more. Yeah, Raven's definitely someone to watch out for here. I think Seal is in a bit of unfamiliar territory. To be fair, most noobs are at this stage of the game, but I think he's trying to match his opponent, but unfortunately he's fighting an opponent who's really experienced in Rapier, so it might be his undoing. That said, I think he held up better than he did with Laszlo by a long shot, so there is that. Some blade. Oh, that was an Incortada attempt. However, Seal just went right for the stab. Maybe Seal will bring this back. You never know. Yeah, that is true, but if Raven gets a little overconfident, one lucky stab can be all it takes. The Raven's moving in and out. Yeah, absolutely. I think Raven has some experience for sure. Definitely knows the combos. But Heal is showing some good fight IQ now, I think. Not so much knowledge of the character, though. Yeah, Raven's trying to provoke his opponent here. I like it. Not a whole lot happening at this point, but they're playing it very safe. I respect that. Even as someone who doesn't play it as safe, I very much respect that. That was really well done there by Seal. Seal now just needs one more to tie it up, and then we'll have to randomly select who's in what side if Seal wins. Yeah, Raven's got to be very careful here. I can tell Raven really wants that kill, but all it takes is one little mistake. Seal Choker has some supporters in the chat, so that's really good to see as well. Yes, that's a good point. Seal's timing is really good. He might not have as much knowledge of the character, but he knows when to stab, so... Yeah, it turns out switching was the right call here. Well, a bit of stretchy arms there, but nobody got hit, so it didn't really affect anything. This is a very important flag, so I can totally understand playing this a bit passively here. But you can see Raven is applying pressure, forcing his opponent into the corner, so that is really nice to see. And then he's doing all these stabs, right? But he's got to be careful, because those stabs out of range can sometimes leave an opportunity. But I see what he's trying to do. He's trying to poke and prod and open his opponent up. Now, there's good defense there by Raven, and Raven takes it. Stab to the arm, perfect distancing. A very good try to seal Choker, though. That was good effort. Buttons are switched. Well, I have the default control, so that's something to do with you. But that was a little bit ago, so that's no big deal. Very good try, Seal Choker. I love matches like that where somebody tries to make a comeback and almost does it. So now we're past round 1. That means everybody now has the same number of fights going forward. That's just how it goes when you have 10 people. It doesn't divide very well, so I did shuffle the brackets, so it was all totally random. And so now, looking at the numbers here, we got Kowo against Pixel Manny. Yeah, that was a good match. I was really impressed with the rapier fighting in particular that we saw there. Marie's not an easy character to use in some ways, just because she has those Marie moments and she has inherent disadvantages at close range, but if you use her distancing well, she can be a menace for new players for sure. Some new players might even think she's overpowered, even though she's not at all overpowered, just because she can be a little bit hard to defend against with that reach and those stabs. That is true. If the aggression is too low, that can be a problem. Okay, Kuo is in the bathroom on the way. That's fine. No, it's all good. I don't mind waiting a little bit. I know you're here, right? That's the important thing. I'm only gonna disqualify people if, like, you don't show up and then we do these matches and then you're still not here, kind of thing. if you've told me that you're gonna be a bit and whatnot, it's no big deal. That's true, yeah, but I don't think this will take very long. His other opponent's not showing up at all, so we might have to skip over it anyway. I'll deal with the names right now, but okay, Kawhi's getting in now. Perfect. We'll wait a little bit for Pixel Manny. Oh, you had a problem with your connection, apparently. Try that again. Do you have Parsec installed, Kawhi? And is it open on your browser? Oh, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. You don't know your password. Well, that's a bit of a problem, yeah. I guess you could make a new account, but it shouldn't take too long, yeah. Just make sure you remember that, because even some more veteran players sometimes make that mistake. You have it as an app, okay. The important thing is having it open on your browser, right? So, but yeah, sometimes even players who are more experienced, they don't like play with Parsec for a while, and then they come back and it's like, oh, I gotta verify my account. I don't know the password, and it's something that could happen to me too. I could conceivably see that happening, so I get it. Don't worry. Yeah, Google Chrome, that's a good point, might have your password stored. Yeah, I can't offer a whole lot more advice when it comes to Marie either, Zero. I'm not a rapier guy, so. And as for the different guards, they allow for like different attacks as well, not just blocking. Okay, Coel remembered it. Perfect. So the guards are a really important part to sword fighting in this game, just like real life. If you don't understand the guards, you're at a major disadvantage. Oh, I need a new link. That's you need the link probably died, so that's fine. I'm just gonna verify that Kuo can connect first, and then we'll wait. I guess a little bit longer, then we'll just move on, because I'm not gonna wait too long for Pixel Man here. Client connection failure. You had a problem with your connection. Are you is it open on your desktop? Okay, try again then. I don't know. Because we had the obviously the other people, they joined just fine. So I think it's something on your end. That's what Parsec's telling me anyway. So I don't know. If you want to, yeah, that's true. Pekola has a good Zera guide, which really helps you understand distancing. He goes into great detail with that because it's kind of crucial to playing Zera. His guide is not on YouTube; it's on the Discord. You had a problem with your connection. I don't know. Maybe try like restarting and stuff. We'll get back to you. Don't worry. I'm not gonna disqualify you, especially because you're here. Your opponent's not here. So we'll go from there. All right. Maybe some people on the Discord can help him out too, because I can't waste too much time on that. So if any of you want to help him with connect with Parsec, feel free in the meantime. I think we'll move on to Custer against Smooth and Sinister. I didn't look at the message properly, but I think I saw that Smooth and Sinister has Parsec installed now. Bit of a problem. You shouldn't join a tourney where Parsec is used to host, but not have it. But he got it sorted, I think, so. Yeah, we could try stream remote, but his opponent's not here, right? So I'm not going to waste time with that for now. Yeah, it's in tourney talks Smooth and Sinister, like I was saying earlier. I will ping you. Yeah, I know, it's their first tourney. That's why I'm lenient with these things. I'm not disqualifying people or anything of that nature, so we're all good. No, Quo, we're skipping over your match because Pixelmani's not here. Alright, I know Custer's here, so that's all good. Yeah, we're doing them first, and we're going to wait for his opponent to show up, and if not, we'll just verify he can connect to Steam Remote at the very least. I'm willing to switch that for him if we need to. But just try to make sure you get Parsec working in the future. I think the link might have died, guys, so do the second one. Alright, I've pinged both of them, so. And I told Smooth and Sinister where we're pinging people, so that should be taken care of. Yeah, okay. On my way, gonna open up Discord and computer. Alright, that's all good. Custer has not shown up yet, apparently, so. Which I'm surprised by. I thought he was watching the Rapier fight. I'll give him another ping, I guess, and try to message him. You are up. He might not be expecting it to be his turn, so that's understandable. I'm just gonna I messaged him directly, so should be good. One moment. All right, they both confirmed that they're gonna join in a bit. So technical problems. That's not good. Oh man. Well, you're not the only one, so don't worry about it. I know Louch Cascade it is reliable, and we obviously know the other matchups are reliable. So once we get these out of the way and figure out who's here and who's not, it should be more smooth from then on out. Yeah, it's usually way more smooth than this, but you know sometimes, especially if newer players, we can have problems. So, but we'll get it sorted out. Click the link when you're here. Yeah, it does. But at least we had Raven working. Yeah, it's okay. We've been the tournament is a little like obviously 10 players is a very respectable number, but it's not as big as we've had before when we allow the entire community in. So never rushed out so fast in your life. It's fine. We're not gonna disqualify you over that as long as we know we're here, that you're here, right? If you're a straight up no show, right, and haven't said anything, that's when there's a problem. I think the link died, so you guys, you gotta click on it, okay? If you're here, that is. I don't know if you are. So I'll just give you guys the new link. Okay, we got somebody in. Jewish Cree. Alright, Custer's typing. I think that might have been him. If you're the guy who just joined, yes, you are here. Don't recognize the name on Parsec, but that's fine. I don't need to. That's not the most important thing. The important thing is whether I can recognize you in the challenge page. So we're all good. It's pretty easy to tell who's who when people join. Yes, that's you. Yep. We're just waiting for the other guy now, but we know he's here, so we can wait a little bit. It's not a big deal. Yeah, just the warning. It might be a bit longer than you think just because of some of these technical issues we gotta work out first. But I'm sure he'll be here soon. Yeah, an unusual number, but I sort of came into this expecting it, so, you know. Vinard lost all of his unicorn horns, so he's not betting anymore. All about the swag fights. Yeah, that's a good attitude. Yeah, well, Parsec is standard for most of our events. Not all of them, but most of them. So, very important to get familiar with it. Many people find it works better than Steam Remote. Some people prefer Steam Remote, but most people prefer Parsec in my experience, so. But you're in, that's not a problem. We're just waiting for your opponent. No, we're using the school map only, unfortunately. I don't want to use the void map. I want to use a map that has boundaries, so that's pretty good. Balance. Like, there's enough space, but nonetheless, there's not an infinite amount of space in that map, so it's perfect, I think, and it looks really nice. Are you both on keyboard, or? Musashi's like, I just finished wiping. Yeah, too much information. Alright. Anyway. Keyboard is fine, I just need to know if you are or not. Controller for Sinister, Custer. Controller is easier usually, so that's good. But you can use keyboard, absolutely. Alright, both of you are on controller, that's good to see. That means I don't need to mess with anything. You're in, yes you are. So, Custer, you're on the left. I'm just gonna chat to you on the Discord so you know. I've seen Custer on the server a little bit before, but Smooth and Sinister, not at all. Was that on that didn't look on purpose at all. That was a very quick character selection. So what we're going to do is, Custer, you can just select, and then we'll back out. So, pick Laszlo or whoever you want to pick, and we'll just back out. Or I can back out, try backing out too. Yeah, we'll just do that, since you're having trouble as well. Try not to double tap. I think that's why you selected by mistake. It happens. Even the best of us can accidentally select characters. Okay, that's an Isabella against Alexander. Smooth and Sinister. Going with the character that I main, so that's really good to see. I think he's a decent pick for new players. His footwork can be a bit hard to master, and I have a guide on him, though, for any new players who are interested in that. It's pinned in the balance, and not the balance, but the training and coaching channel on the Discord. That was really nicely done by Sinister, using that guard and then getting a cut to the arm. I think I'll call him Sinister. Oh, Sinister going for a grapple after they both hit each other. His opponent didn't do anything, so that was a really good time to go for a grapple, actually. It almost failed, though, because he was a bit out of range the first time, but it ended up working. His opponent being a little bit passive in that instance. Nicely done. Dominating his opponent there. His opponent tried to get an advantage by getting to the side, but didn't quite throw an attack, so he was able to get a draw cut. That was a good stab, though, by Custer, getting a point on the board. Yeah, Isabella does well in the pocket. The problem is Alexander does too, and so you don't really want to be... Oh, that's an unfortunate whiff there. Sinister should have had it, but Alexander sometimes has a weird whiffs like that, even after the stab, so... The idea was good, though. You stabbed right for the face, and then you tried to follow it up. It's one thing I like doing, too. Oh, that's a good time to hit Alexander, when Alexander is in the middle of an attack. And then Custer gets a good high guard cut. Now, Custer getting in the pocket and gets a pommel strike. See, sometimes with Isabella, you do really want to get close, and in that case, it worked really well. It actually broke his defense, thanks to the pommel strike. There was a sideways slash, but it was out of measure. That could have been exploited. But Custer is trying to play this safe. That was nicely done by Sinister, actually. Repeating that same move and getting a good cut to the head. So now they both just need one to win this round. It's actually very close. Stab attempt there by Custer. Doesn't really get a lot of damage in there. I think it hit the arm. And there's a double. That's our first double, actually. That's pretty impressive. They've had some cleaner engagements in that sense, both of them. There's some cut attempts, and then a push by Sinister. Sinister being very aggressive, and predictably that results in a double, because his opponent wasn't capitalizing on that so much. And there's a long guard by Sinister there. Sinister throwing some cuts. They get parried, though, and then Custer with a good cut to the arm. Alright, let me just change up the names here. And Custer, alright. Instead of Custer's last stand, we're seeing Custer's victory so far. Yeah, it was a close one nonetheless. Okay. So Sinister is going back to Alexander. I think Custer wants to go with Calc, though. That's interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about that pick. Isabella seemed to be going decent for him, but maybe he wants some extra reach. I feel like Alexander has an advantage here, but Calc does have the tools to hit Alexander, that's for sure. And I think he has a plan here. Maybe to stab the body. That is a good way to kill Alexander. Ooh, that was a good attempt to hit the head there by Custer. A bit out of range. I think that move is a bit weak sometimes, but when it does land, it's devastating. Oh, there was a stab and then a push by Sinister. Sinister turning up the aggression there. And then a stab. Sinister's doing a good job of closing the distance. Obviously, Calc has more reach, so you want to close in. Yeah, that's good play there by Custer, trying to maintain that distance and threaten his opponent with the point. He gets very close, though, and they both trade. No kill, though. That was a nice cut there by Custer. Yeah, in the pocket is like when you're really close. Either well into cutting range or punching range, in fact. That's the pocket. That was a good stab there by Custer. Yeah, Sinister knows the stab. I wouldn't call it OP, though. It really leaves you vulnerable in some cases. Good horizontal slash by Sinister. He definitely knows some of these moves, for sure. The thing about the stab is it locks you in an animation. As fast as it is, you're kind of locked in when you do it. So, and there are easy ways to hit him when he's in the middle of it, so. But nonetheless, if you do it at the right range against Calc seems to struggle against it in particular, so it's a good tactic. Oh, but that was a stab out of range, and that left him open. That's the thing, you get locked in a little bit, and you can just get stabbed. Yes, there is a bit of a dance-off here, and Sinister just immediately stabs his opponent. One way to deal with a Calc who's not threatening you much is to just stab him like that. It's not entirely true. People can dodge it. Obviously, there's a variety of stabs in the game, so I wouldn't suggest it's the best stab. It's among the best. Also, Gideon's, for example, is unblockable. That was a good a bash by Alex there. At least the one where Gideon lunges forward. It's very hard to block with just your guard. You gotta cut into it manually. Yes, two people. It's amazing to think about. Oh, goodness, that was a cut by Custer. But Custer, I think, thought that cut would finish his opponent off. Unfortunately, with Calc, that's not always the case, despite it being a broadsword. He finishes it off there, but... Also, regarding Alex's thrust, you can also dodge out of the way. I've seen people do that. So there's ways around it, for sure. It's just one of his really powerful tools. Yeah, it was very smooth, that cut. That's one thing Calc does have. He's a bit slow, but he's got technique. And then they both end up hitting each other there. That is true. Spacing is very important when dealing with stabs. Once you understand that, it'll really help you with Alexander especially, I think. And here we're seeing the power spacing there. That stab did not connect because it was not close enough. Custer nearly, in fact, landed a punish because of that. Oh, then some sidestep cuts. Custer might just take this, actually. I feel like he's had a bit of a character disadvantage, but to be taking on an Alexander like this, that goes to show how good he is with Calc, in fact. But Sinister's been doing a good job as well. I'm really impressed with some of the tactic he's been using. However, I was going to point out he's being a bit passive, and there you go. If you're not prepared for the stabs, they can just get right past his guard. Always something you got to watch out for in this matchup, and unfortunately for Sinister anyway, Custer takes it. GG to both players nonetheless. Okay, Googleum's back. That's good. And I think what we'll do is we'll just move on to Louch Cascadians Raven. We know these two have a working connection. So we'll get that out of the way. Then we'll do Musashi's match against Googleum. Then we'll come back, and if Pixel's not here, we're just going to disqualify him. Because he hasn't messaged me or anything, so... So far, 2-0s. We haven't had any matches that had to be decided by a third round yet. But Raven is very scary, yes. That'll be a good one. I will say Louch is scary as well, though, so Raven does not have an easy fight coming up here. Oh, whoops. Because Louch has actually played with pro players, and he's really improved his game over time, so... He's got some potential here to be a champion, no doubt about it. And I've watched him improve too. That's the crazy thing. You see him play against pro players, and he improves his game mid-tourney. So, but we've seen Raven do really well, so I'm really curious to see how this will go. I know Louch has absolutely no connection problems, so... Okay, Raven is in, Louch is in. Alright, nobody should need keyboard, so I think we're all good. Louch, you are taking the left side. Yeah, Louch is scary and Raven is scary, so... I'm liking where this is going. Oh, there's... Wait, yeah, they went straight to their characters? Perfect. Okay, so Louch with Alexander, as I expected. What Louch needs to do here is he needs to close the distance, and what Raven needs to do is maintain his distance and use those stabs. It was very dangerous there, range-wise, but he managed to get a perfect stab to the body there. Alexander can be a bit weak to those, if you're not careful. Even long guard, even when you're in long guard, it can be quite dangerous. Though Louch does the right thing here, closing in, and he keeps up the pressure, getting another stab. That was a double, though. I think he self-impaled. That was a little bit weird, but nonetheless, he did get stabbed coming in, so... Alright, good stab there by Raven. I could, but I guess type them up beforehand, but... prefer doing it like this. It's pretty quick. Anyway, Louch gets his first kill. Yeah, that's the thing. You get tons of tabs in OBS if you do stuff like that. I get what you're saying, but I feel like this is quick enough. And then Raven with another kill there. I get what you're saying, though. It might look less professional if I'm typing them in on the fly, but yeah. Anyway, another good stab by Raven. Raven's doing a really good job. It can be hard to deal with that jump rush for sure, but I think if Marie... It really depends. Like, if Louch does the jump rush, and he does it... Like, here you go. Obviously, he did it well here, but if he was too far away, then it's very easy to punish for Marie. If it's too close, though, as we just saw there, that can be a problem. I think Raven should have just gone right for the stab. And there it is, upward stab. Raven getting the first point. A first round win, I should say. Oh, whoops. Hang on. Okay, Raven, you're on the left now. Perfect. Yeah, if Marie, you gotta use that reach that you've got. But I can speak from experience that despite Marie being a lower tier character by some, according to some people, which, you know, I think I agree with, but in skilled hands, she is still very dangerous, and she has a matchup advantage against Alexander, I would say. So that said, Louch closing the distance there. I wonder what Raven was trying there. I think Raven was trying to hit the legs with those cuts, which can disable his mobility, but the problem is your head's open and you don't have as much reach. That was a good leg cut there, and he actually achieved what he was trying to do, so that was well done. Finishes it off with a stab. The rapier does have a straight blade, though, so it has a bit more reach on the cut than Alexander does oftentimes. Louch is trying to jump attack there, but he was too far. However, he keeps up the pressure when that first stab does not kill. I'll give him credit for that for sure. However, another stab lands. Louch needs to find a way to catch that rapier with his blade and close in. Because simply tanking stabs, even with Alexander's hit points, that's just not happening. Not in a game like this, so. No, it's not VR. It's, the view you're seeing is the view that the players are seeing as well. And that was another good stab by Raven. Raven just needs one more. I'm sure Louch is feeling the pressure. Having a really rough time, but Marie is a rough opponent for Alexander, so I can understand that. That was a good rush attack there, well spaced. Louch can still win this. It's very tough, but it's doable. I actually did defeat a Marie recently, a really skilled Marie, so with my Alexander, so I hope Louch isn't giving up. He's not, as far as I can tell. He's trying to close that distance, get those cuts. Some weird whiffs going on, but he does manage to connect. Yeah, that is part of the problem. Marie's a bit short, so you get weird whiffs like that, but at least the point is more or less level with her head, so it's not, it could be worse. That was an interesting sidestep there by Louch. He managed to stay out of danger, and then he gets cut. He's turning it around. Louch just needs one more. Very close round here. And then Louch takes it. Nicely done. Okay. So it is 1-1. Alright, so one moment. We're going to randomize it here. So how this works is the person on top wants an even number, and the person at the bottom wants an odd number to choose the side. Alright, that's a 2. So Louch, you get to pick the side. Most of you will probably be picking the left side. That's probably where you're most familiar with the game. Yeah, he wants left. Alright. So, fighters, you will need to switch sides. Good to see a really close fight. They're both top competitors, I think, in this tournament, so I'm really excited to see who wins this. I'm a bit biased in favor of Louch, just because Louch uses Alexander, the character that I main, but it'd be cool to see a Marie main win, too. Yeah, some people prefer the right side. It depends on how experienced you are, I suppose, and what side. A lot of pro players, they might have a preference, but they're really good on either side, and it doesn't really matter. So that's something you'll just learn as you play. That was a good stab there to the body there by Raven. Yeah, on keyboard left side is probably more of an advantage, but oh goodness, that was a good cut to the leg by Raven. Raven has immobilized Louch a little bit, but Louch can step forward with those cuts, and he keeps up the pressure. Nicely done. Louch is doing a good job of closing in and keeping up the pressure once he's done so. That's what you want to do. You don't want to give Raven time to breathe and just stab you. There's a double there. I mean, long guard does help against stabs, but Alexander's specific long guard sometimes leaves him open nonetheless. So you have to catch the blade carefully. That was a good stab by Raven. Oh, Raven trying a low stab, that was a good try. However, he does land a cut. Louch is able to keep up the pressure nonetheless, though. Those cuts at the rapier, they might take out the leg mobility, but it's rare that they'll kill as reliably as a cut from a saber, so you gotta stab with them, oftentimes. But cutting can be good for beating blades or hitting the leg, as we did see earlier. And Louch is doing a good job landing that stab there to the arm. And he now has a lead. He's done a really good job here, I would say, of adapting to his opponent. He's probably not used to fighting a lot of rapiers. Most of the pros he's fought have been using sabers and longswords. However, Raven gets a good stab in there. Oh, stab attempt by Raven. That second one, as I've been talking about before, it gets right through the long guard. So Louch has to be very careful of the distance he tries to engage at. He got 2 hits in, but amazingly Marie just tanks all of them. To be fair, though, Raven did also get some hits as Louch came in, so it was just luck at that point, really. Sometimes that's how it goes. Unfortunately, Raven gets a stab to the body. Louch was not able to follow up that stab. So Raven takes it. Very good effort to Louch, though I thought Louch was going to win this one, but Raven has proven to be a really tough competitor as well. So, and it's a tough matchup, so definitely a matchup you should train if you're going to main Alexander, because that's going to be one of your toughest ones. Alright, let's move on to Musashi against Gugelum. Musashi's another favorite, I would say, in this tournament. He's going to be a really strong competitor who's also fought with some of the pros. Gugelum I've seen less of, but he uses Samuel, and he uses Samuel pretty skillfully, so I think he's a tough competitor as well among the newer players. Alright, so there's the link there. Musashi will take the left side. Oh, yeah, they Gugelum, and then Raven will just kick you there. Best not to have people hanging out in the Parsec who aren't playing. I'm seeing 2 Musashis here. I think there might be a connection problem. Yeah, try that again. Gugelum is in, so... Yeah, I'm clicked off. That's why it says that. He needs to re-authenticate. Oh, that's unfortunate. I haven't heard from Pixelman, so we'll just wait for you to sort that out. I don't think it'll take that long. It's okay, we all make mistakes like this sometimes. Alright, Musashi is in. Musashi is from Asia, by the way, so that's why his ping is so high. But nonetheless, I've seen him do well on European and American and North American servers, so good luck to both of you. Musashi on the left, and Gugelum on the right. Yep, for many of you, this is your first tourney, so I'm really impressed with some of the performances I'm seeing so far. Definitely seeing some rising stars among you. G-Man says if Pixelman doesn't show up, he'll fight as Barra. I think it'd still be a bit unfair, but yeah, that is nice of you to try and give him a fight nonetheless, but yeah, he wish. We're not having any pro players fight in this tournament. Oh, that was a Yazek there that I saw by Musashi, and I think that's his main, so definitely a solid pick, and Samuel's a solid pick as well, so we'll see how this goes. Musashi has less reach, but I think Yazek has less weaknesses than Samuel does, so it's a pretty even matchup, I would say. Gugelom's doing a good job with those big attacks, though, securing the first kill. Yet Musashi is very good. My bad. Wow, they both get in the pocket there. That's bad for Samuel, so Musashi is able to get his point. G-Man says, oops, forgot to log in on my alt. And there's the high guard by Gugelom. He's trying to get a snipe in there, but unfortunately, Musashi really easily blocks it. Musashi might have more experience in the game, but he is a new player. He's only been here for a month, so... And then there's another kill by Musashi. I'd say Yazek is generally faster, so that's one advantage that Musashi's going to have here. That said, though, Samuel does have some fast retreating attacks. That was a good low stab, though, by Gugelom. So Gugelom could easily turn this around if he manages his distancing well and his timing. Samuel is very sensitive when it comes to that. You want to fight at the neutral range instead of the pocket. And Gugelom's doing a pretty good job of that, actually. Arguably very close to that stab, but he's able to recover, and he's able to get that cut to the head before Musashi's able to react because he was a bit stunned. Gugelom's turning this round around. It's by no means decided. That was a good cut, and then a second cut. I don't think Musashi was expecting that to crash through, but those attacks from Samuel can be very devastating. And there's that low stab. I don't see a lot of Samuel players use it, but Gugelom's been using that well. Oh, low cut by Gugelom, but it leaves him open to a stab to the face. This next flag will decide it. I think I saw a bit of blood squirting from his face, too. That was pretty brutal. Alright, Musashi is playing this cautiously. Gugelom is applying passive pressure. Tries to get a stab, and however, he's a little close. And I think, Musashi gets an upward cut after that stab. Good on him for turning that around. Yet Gugelom's warmed up, but unfortunately Gugelom did not take it. Very good play there by Musashi, but Gugelom nearly won it himself, so I have no idea how this one will go. Oh my god. Clicking rapidly, so I clicked survival. Oh well, we'll just go back. Yeah, very close fight. I love these fights, the ones that are so close you can't tell who's going to win at all. And Musashi's at a ping disadvantage, so that especially, I think, speaks to his skill. It's also very late where he is. He's in Asia, so he has every disadvantage except, obviously, his experience fighting with pro players, so... And obviously the advantages the characters have on each other, so there's that as well, but... We're seeing a long guard by Musashi. I think he wants to set up a good thrust to the face. That was a good attempt, but Gugelom's able to back away. And Gugelom's low stab actually enables him to get a good strike in on Musashi, despite Musashi trying to stab him. That reach is really helping him out here, and they're both trying to stab each other. Now some cuts. Samuel was just far enough away such that he had the advantage in that engagement. Yeah, neutral fights are fun to watch as well. Stab attempt by Google on Musashi might have been able to capitalize. It's hard to say. However, he does get a stab in there. He does get slightly hit in turn, but Musashi's hit was more solid to the head there. Good cut by Musashi. Moving right past that long guard when his opponent got too close. Love that downward cut that Yazik does. And it's from long guard too, so you don't expect it. You think he's going to stab you, but then he cuts downward. Musashi got the first hit there, but it was a slight hit. So Gugelon was able to follow it up with more decisive cuts. Gugelon pushing some initiative there, but unfortunately, again, he gets a bit too close. He cut for the leg, but that sort of left his head open. It can be a good strategy of Samuel. You just got to watch that head. Stab attempt, it misses. Musashi's trying to choose his opportunity. That was a good snap cut to the head, though, by Gugelon. Yeah, Musashi's doing a lot of that sort of baiting playstyle here. Stab to the head. That cut to the leg didn't even land, unfortunately, for Gugelon. I see what Gugelon's going for, but unfortunately, when your head's open like that, it can be very easy to kill you with a stab. Or a cut to the head, for that matter. That's why leg hits are so risky, but they do have their place. You just gotta use them properly. Bit of an exchange there, but they're not being overly aggressive, which I like seeing. And that was a good stab of Musashi. He sets up those stabs really well. It's funny, he uses a cut-centric weapon, but he loves stabbing with it, and that curve can actually help you out with that because it'll curve around your opponent's weapon and allow you to get a good hit. So Musashi takes it, 2-0. Good effort from Gugelon, though. And we're almost in the semifinals. I just want to ping Pixel one more time. Yeah, I know, Raven. We skipped them, but we're going to go back. I just want to make sure Pixel is not here. Yeah, that was a good fight. Musashi says he had a heart attack. Yeah, that one round especially at the beginning. I'm sure that was stressful, so... Alright, well I gave Pixelman plenty of pings here. I guess I'll try messaging him real quick, but... Otherwise I'm going to disqualify him. It's in the rules anyway that you disqualify people after you go through the entire round, so... Yeah, I'll just give him a little bit to respond. I'm being a bit generous, but I know these are new players, so... If I don't see him try to type or anything, we're just gonna disqualify him, unfortunately. So... Don't like to do that, but, you know, if he's not here, there's not much else we can do, so... Yeah, I don't think we're getting a response from him. He's not even online, so as far as I can tell. So, Kuo, you move on. Pixelmani is out of the tourney, so now we're in the semifinals. So now we've got Raven Gaming against Kuo. Here's what we'll do. If Parsec does not work, we'll try Steam Remote. Because I know you're both here, so we'll try every option we can to enable you guys to fight. That's good to see that you're here. Alright. He was too intimidated by his excellence, he says. We'll see how excellent you are against the Raven. But I like to see that confidence nonetheless. It's really good to see. I think Kuo's... Okay, what? Is your Parsec installed? Okay, it says you don't have it. Try again. Is it on the desktop, like on the desktop bar? Yeah, I don't know what's happening then. You had a problem with your connection now. That's a different error. Let's try Steam Remote. Let's not even bother with Parsec at this point. At least not with you, because something seems to be going on. I'm not quite sure how we fix that, so we'll just do Steam Remote. That's pretty quick to set up, so it's not a big deal. Okay. I don't need to friend you. I'll just send you the invite links, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, he seems to have everything set up. It's just, you know. Yeah, don't worry, Raven. We're doing it for Steam. Just make sure you click the link that's beside your ping, because they're separate links that'll only work for one person. Okay, perfect. We got Kuo in. And he has a controller. That's good. Nice thing about Steam Remote, though, is that it tells you if they have a controller or not, so you don't have to worry about asking people about keyboard. I will say that, but Parsec in general tends to run better, at least in my experience, but hopefully this works well. Yeah, Samuel's a very strong character for sure. Okay, they both have controllers. That's good. And they're both in. So Raven will be on the left. I'm sure it feels good to be in the semifinals too, but keep in mind, if you lose in the semifinals, you still have a chance to fight for third place in the bronze match. You can see down here, there's a bronze match for the loser of 7 and the loser of 8. So you're not out of the tournament yet completely if you lose. You just can't get first place. That's the first or second place. Alright, let's get started. They both don't appear to have any issues, so that's good. At this point, we're going to have some pretty smooth fights, I think. Now there's another Alex versus Marie matchup. I know Kuo, I think, is an Alexander main as well, so that's an understandable choice, but we'll see how he deals with the reach advantage that... Wait, hang on. Is Raven Gaming on the right or the left? That might have been... Yeah, whatever. We'll just go with it. I mean, the side doesn't really matter that much. I'm assuming that the names are not accurate to who's on what side, but I'll check with them after this. You guys can just keep fighting. That was a good jumping slash, though, to start off by, I believe that's Kuo. Yeah, Kuo is definitely Alex, so... Anyway, that was a good stab by Raven. These mistakes happen, so we'll just roll with it. 1-1. I don't want to interrupt the rhythm, so I'm not going to change up the names. It's obvious who's who at this point, so. That was a good retreating slash by Kuo. I don't think, not by Kuo, by Raven. Even I'm getting confused now. But, Didn't do a whole lot, but however, Raven does get that stab, so that was nicely done. Low stab there by Raven. Raven's trying to poke and prod using that reach to force his opponent to either back away or try and counter. That was a good stab, though, by Kuo. And by the way, Kuo, Favkis is rooting for you, so you've got a fan in the chat, one of the pros, in fact. So hopefully that's a bit of a morale booster. Yeah, that is true. If you're scared to close in on Marie, then you're gonna have a lot of trouble. And I definitely respect Quo for being a bit passive, but at some point he does need to close the distance, and he did a good job there actually, despite taking a stab going in. Closing in quickly, of course, does not mean they have to be reckless about it. You can make Marie overextend and then close in. That can be a good time to close in. So sometimes if your opponent is stabbing a lot out of range, that can actually play to your advantage. Yeah, that's the thing. If you're afraid of getting into that danger zone, then you're going to have a lot of trouble. And I think we're seeing that here with Raven getting another kill. You know, the nice thing about this is I don't have to change the names. So the names are flipped, but I won't have to change them going forward. So that's nice, I guess. And that was a good stab by Quo. Quo's doing the right thing, I would say, playing this really cautiously and throwing safe stabs. Yeah, against me, that's more or less death range. And then Quo with another stab. Raven with another stab. Quo needs to find a way to close in. Using that long guard there, I think Quo knows about what long guard does, so that's good at least. That's really crucial if you're going to fight Marie. You have to know how to use long guard. If you don't, she'll just stab you. And then there was a stab, exploiting the fact that Quo was slashing out of range. I'll just check with them to be 100% sure. Yes, you were on the left. Yeah, because I don't need to flip the names, so that's good. Yeah, it's all good. We just started at the reverse of what I had before, but that's all good. We're switching sides anyway, so I don't think the sides really decide what happens anyway, so it's just some noobs might be a bit more comfortable on the left compared to the right. And that's the main thing. Life demonstration of what not to do against her. You know, Favkas, I would like to give some of these guys advice, but I feel like it's a little unfair if I... So I'll give, like, general advice, but I don't know. Skill issue. Talking about gambling over there, because Vineyard hasn't been doing well with cryptocurrency, at least so he says, so... Anyway, as we were saying that, Kuo got badly injured there. There was a bit of a stab, and then there was a cut on his leg. Good job on a Raven's part. And then Raven's just maintaining distance, because Kuo is having trouble closing in. I think Kuo doesn't really know that some of his moves can enable him to sort of close in quicker than he is right now. He's figured something out with that stab, though. Maybe that'll help him out. If he can just land it, might work into his favor Raven was getting a bit close there. And actually, Kuo takes it. Sometimes if your opponent's limping and you're a little too aggressive, that can go very badly, despite the massive advantage that it grants you. Well, there's that charging attack by Kuo, but that was way out of range. Good stab by Raven, but it's not enough. Kuo is allowed to get too close, and then there's a cut to the head. We might see a third round from this one, because Kuo is adapting fairly well, I would say. At least so far. He really needs to focus on closing the distance, though. That's the main thing that... Oh, no, he charged it. Yeah, that was too far. Very well done by Raven. Those charge attacks have to be well timed, so... But I get why Kuo does it. He wants to really close that distance, like I was saying, and that is one of the quickest ways to do it, but... Yeah, he's getting a little overconfident. And there's another stab. That happens sometimes. You get two flags and you get really excited thinking you have an advantage, and you do, but to be fair, but still got to be careful. Still, Kuo knows how that long guard works by the look of it, so that's good. That's what's keeping him in the fight at this point, I think. Oof, and Raven gets too close. Well done by Kuo. Kuo did get hit a little bit, but it wasn't a big deal. And Kuo with the long guard stab, but he's out of range. Then he goes for the charge attack, still a bit out of range. He probably should have kept going, though. When you back away like that, that gives Raven some opportunities to stab. So once you get close, you really just got to keep going. Oof, now he's doing that charge again, but I think he's scaring his opponent into the corner, so that's what's keeping him in the game. There's a bash by Marie, but it missed. That second stab missed, so that Kuo is still in it. Alright, Kuo did a good job of parrying those stabs. He kind of whiffed on his counter stab, but his cut landed, so it made no difference. That just sometimes happens with Alexander, so that was not anything he did wrong. It was just how it happened. He's got the right idea now. He's got to get that thrust in there, and then there's that cut. That cut is pretty much guaranteed to land. Good cut to the face. Alright, we're going to roll the dice now. 5. That means Kuo gets to pick. Alright, Kuo wants the right side, so we're actually going to stick with what we have here. I respect that. A lot of players want to use the left side, of course, but for Kuo, the right side has been working really well, so maybe he's more comfortable on the right side, so I think picking the right side was the correct choice. Raven, you are on the left, so go ahead and select Marie. Making sure Raven gets the message there. You are on the left side. There you go. And then there's Alexander. Perfect. Nice to see a really close fight with this matchup. And it's nice to see an Alexander reach the semifinals, too, even if it was just because the one person didn't show up, but that's how it goes sometimes. Kuo has still proven, though, that he deserves to be here. He's fighting a really tough opponent in a really bad matchup, I think. So, to do this well speaks volumes, I think. He's forcing his opponent into the corner there. That's good for him, but he does get stabbed twice. Alexander's arm catches that second one, so I think that kept Kuo in the fight. But obviously he can't afford to keep taking stabs like that. He's got to, at some point, close in. Raven's trying to get that killer stab. Throws a cut. I think that was a bit of a mistake, but Kuo backs away. Kuo, I think, is not being aggressive enough at closing the distance. You don't want to necessarily do that with that jump attack, though. He's losing stamina. So Raven's made some mistakes here, but is able to recover nonetheless. And that was a good stab to the body. Alright, so they're both sort of circling each other here. Not eager to close the distance. Oh, Kuo should have kept closing. Oh, man. Oh, but then he runs in. Oh, no. He should have long guarded. Unfortunately, your body's wide open when you just run in like that. The problem is the longer you stay out of your effective range, the more chances Raven has to kill you. That was better right there. Really good stab. So I understand trying to be cautious, but you don't want to overdo it because you're just creating more chances for Marie to kill you. There's a double. Raven has some fans. I think Kuo has some fans too, so... And these are all from the pro community, so... Alright, Kuo closing the distance. Unfortunate whiff on that cut, though. That was well done, but the cut missed. He did the other variation of the cut thrust... the thrust-cut combo. The one that has a little bit less range, and against Marie, sometimes that doesn't work. And it's not anything he did wrong exactly, it's just sometimes the other foot's forward, and so you do a different attack. That's how Alexander goes with that combo. However, he did a good job there of securing the kill. So Kuo is not out of this yet. Oh, that was a good stab to the belly, and that's what I mean. Actually, more so the chest, I would say. But that is what I mean, that stab from Marie, even if you use long guard, it can be very difficult to deal with. With Alex specifically. Alright, Kuo's trying to circle around. I think I see what he's trying to do. He closes in, and that was a good cut. That stab unfortunately whiffed, but the cut landed, and that was what was important. I'm sure Raven's still feeling pretty good, though, just needing that one flag. That one perfect stab is all it'll take. I got a ping, but I'll check that out later. Most of my pings are obviously coming from the Hellish Court server, so... some stab attempts there. They're deflected. Kuo doing a good job of that. But Kuo needs to close in. Oof, that was a good parry, but Raven doing a good job of breaking distance. Of course, I'm not a Marie main, so I can't go in as in-depth with what Raven's up to, but Raven's also doing a good job of maintaining that distance. And not being overly aggressive for the most part. I think Raven learned not to do that. It was a good stab to the arm, but it wasn't enough to kill. But it's fine. Not every hit needs to be that decisive hit. Sometimes you gotta get into your opponent's head a little bit before you get that final killing blow. Oh, Kuo is very close, but he backs away. He doesn't close in. He's very worried about getting stabbed, and I don't blame him, especially because his opponent needs one more, but sometimes you really just gotta get in there. And then there's the stab. That was to the kidney. Very nasty place to be hit. Raven takes it. Good game to both players. That was a really intense fight to watch, actually, despite the fact that you guys were being very very safe about, or at least trying to be very safe about how you engaged. But you were applying a lot of passive pressure while you were at it, so. But I think Kuo's biggest issue there was just not closing in as aggressively. I think when you've got a shorter weapon, that's what you've got to do. This said, Kuo, don't go away completely because you still do have that bronze fight. So you have a chance to win a victory in the bronze match and win 3rd place. So be sure to stick around and watch because I'll be calling you shortly. I'll call you before the finals. The finals will be the final fight we do. And for you, we'll do Steam Remote since that seems to work. It might be something to do with NAT types. I know some people that can be an issue on Parsec, so we'll figure something out. Anyway, I got pinged. Oh, that's just somebody pinging matchmaking. Okay. Pekola that wants a match. That noob tourney has his blood boiling. Fair enough. Okay. Amazing fireball. Vineyard says. Okay. So Musashi will fight Custer now for our final fight in the semifinals. Musashi will take the left side. We're already almost done the tourney. It hasn't felt like it dragged on for too long, but it obviously wasn't the fastest in the world. Raven's shaking. That was really good on your part there, Raven. That was definitely... I could see how that was very stressful. Because you don't want your opponent to close in. They're both giving each other good lucks. That's really good to see, the good sportsmanship. And I think they're both coming in now. Yes, that's Musashi and that's Custer. Okay. They're both on gamepad as I understand it, so should be good to go there. Musashi on the left, Custer on the right. Oh, that was Kuo's first PvP match. Honestly, considering that, because his opponent was so good, right? Like, Raven's proven to be a really tough opponent in this tourney, so to do that well, even in a novice tourney, I think is a really good achievement. So, Kuo, if you're listening, you should definitely be proud of that performance, because you did win a round, right? So, that was really good. You drew it to the 3rd round. Okay. I think both are having some issues. Yeah, Musashi's on the left. Yes. Okay. I might have to restart or something, but because I know we just did Steam Remote, sometimes that's an issue. That might be what's going on. Yeah, so what I'll do, that was me doing that. What I'll do is, you guys can stay in Parsec, that's not a problem, but we'll restart the game. And that should get it working, because Steam Remote can interfere with Parsec for some reason. I probably should have just done that from the get-go, but it's all good. Yeah, Kuo's got potential for sure. Alright, give it a try. You guys should be able to get in now. Or not. Okay, somebody got in and backed out. It's all good. Okay, so Musashi, you're on the left. Alright, Musashi's in. Custer, you're on the right. So, there you go, yeah. Sometimes you gotta press twice to connect and then to get in. So Musashi wants to go with Yazik, and then we got Custer with Calc again. Okay. Obviously, we did see him win with Calc earlier, so he's obviously competent with him, but we'll see how that goes. Kalkstein has reach, Yazik has speed, I would argue Yazlik might have a slight advantage in damage too. Significant enough that his attacks are more reliable. But this will be a really interesting fight. Musashi's playing really passively right now. Backing into the corner with long guard. He wants his opponent to make the first move. But Musashi goes for it. He goes for the cuts there. And Custer's doing the right thing, maintaining distance there. There was some blade contact, but nobody got hit. Then a good snap cut by Musashi. Fireball XL says he's frightened of Musashi. Yeah, Musashi's definitely one of the top competitors, as he proved in his fights. And there's some blood there twice, actually, by Custer. Custer got 2 hits in, but Musashi actually ended up winning. Upward cut by Musashi, then a kick! They both got in the pocket there, but Musashi came out on top. I like seeing that when there's punches, grapples, and stuff. That makes the fight feel a little bit more real at times. Obviously, the sword is the most important thing, but in a real fight, anything goes. It's not a sword fight, as I like to say. It's a fight with swords. Swords are just one of the tools in your arsenal. That might be the most potent tool, but they're still just one. Musashi, as we speak, is doing a really good job. He might get a flawless win this round, but he did get tagged a little bit. Custer's trying to choose his moment. He gets stabbed in the face, though. That was a flawless win, aside from obviously eating a hit here. But with regards to flags, Musashi was flawlessly won that round. Really well done. It's not an easy thing to do in a game like this. Alright, fighters switch sides. Names are dealt with. And Custer's on the left now. We're seeing a Marie there. That's an interesting pick. Going for the reach advantage that Marie will offer. So Custer seems to like straight blades. I think he's experimenting with different characters to see what works best for him. I don't think he has a main so much, but he definitely likes that thrust-centric points. Or not necessarily thrust-centric, but just straight blade fighting style. Yeah, I'll be up poking. That's what Fireball says there. One of the competitors, presumably. Alright, Musashi with 2 wins right off the get-go. Custer just can't find that stab. Musashi doing a good job of covering that line. Showing what you should do as a Saber character when you're fighting Marie, too. He's not afraid to close in when he needs to. But he's not reckless about it. Tries to stab, he doesn't land it, but he is able to easily follow that up and get it cut. He might get a flawless victory in general, because Custer just can't seem to figure anything out here. That long guard catches his thrusts, and Musashi's just taking the initiative. His opponent's not doing a whole lot, so yeah, Fireball must be Raven there. Okay, the upward cut. Alright, Custer gets his first kill of the entire match. But it's not over. He can still win this if his opponent gets overconfident and he gets some good pokes in. It's definitely doable. Thrust attempt, cut attempt, and they both end up trading a little bit. Musashi was getting very close, though, so that was really dangerous for Custer. And again, very nicely done. He catches the blade with the edge, and then he's able to get a quick cut. By establishing blade contact, he made it so much harder for Custer to do a whole lot with that long guard. So Musashi just utterly dominated that match. Some textbook Yazlik play there by Musashi. He really likes using those stabs, and he's And he lands them very consistently. Even when he doesn't land them, they're very close to landing, so. That said, Custer, you're not done yet. You are in the bronze match, so you do have to fight Kuo. But for that, we're going to switch back to Steam Remote Play, because Kuo does better on that than Parsec. So this is for the third place. The third place spot. And Kuo will get the left side. Alright, one moment. Alright, invite anyone. Oh, Kuo invited me to the Universe Sim Discord. Okay. It's all good. You're trying to click join, yeah. Okay, that's all good. I was confused. I was just like... I have that game too, though, so, you know. If I ever want to check it out, there it is, I suppose. Alright, here you go, Custer. This is your link. It's nice to see Butternut, a newer player on the server, is having some fun this New Year's Eve with his friends in Hellish Court. It's always good to see that this community is growing. And it really would not be what it is without a bunch of new players like you guys coming in. So I just want to say I appreciate you guys coming out here. And with this influx of players, we're going to have even bigger tourneys going forward, I think, because we have a lot of active veterans too. So, you know, if we get a lot of active people, we could easily get 20 people in one tournament. That does mean they can go a bit longer, but usually there's a bit less technical issues as you go in, so... Now we're seeing this classic matchup again. That was a very intelligent pick, I think, by Custer. Custer's going with what has been working against Alexander, and that's Marie. Now this is Custer's last stand right here. Custer needs to win some kind of victory and get third place. 20-person round robin. Could you imagine? That would be so long. A hell of a lot of fun, like to just devote a day to a fight like that, exactly, but I just don't think we could possibly organize that, unfortunately. Yeah, that would be a battle of endurance. In Cortada spam by Custer. He lands a few of them, but they're not very decisive hits. But in Cortada is really good up close, so I see what he was going for, and it did keep his opponent at bay, so it did what it was supposed to do. And then he stabs the arm. That's 3 flags for Custer. I should probably like devote a guide specifically to dealing with Marie, because I have an Alexander guide. I guess I can include it in that one too, but maybe just for... Maybe I'll just devote an article, a concise article, to dealing with Marie as Alexander. Because my guide is already really long, so... And there's another stab. And to be fair, in my guide, I already do talk about like how stabs can hit you, so you gotta like catch the blade and close in kind of thing, and do a counter thrust. Oh, that was good though. A punch and then a horizontal slash to the head, scalping Custer there. Yeah, Kuo can still turn this around. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot. He just has to fence really well. and focus on closing that distance. That's, I think, been his biggest problem so far. That's exactly what you want to do. Good job with that stab. No anti-Marie guide. Yeah, I don't know if I will actually do it, but it's an idea. Because Alexander really struggles in this specific matchup. But I think Marie struggles enough as it is, so I think my guide might be sufficient as it is. Just how to play Alexander. So, and then there's a cut to the head. Kuo probably is getting some morale now that he has won 3 flags in a row. And there's a cut to the head. He just needs one more. Doing a very good job of closing that distance. Yeah, I'll be sure to send you guys that Alexander guide. I have it on Steam as well. It's very easy to find. You just look at the guides in Steam, and you'll find it there. I also have the Google Doc, of course. And Kuo managing to close in and getting that stab again. Alright, just going to change up the names now. Good job to Kuo. That is a very tough matchup, and he just won the first round. And he made a really good comeback, too. That's really key there. I think he figured out what he needs to do here. Yeah, very nice comeback. Yeah, and then there's Alexander from Kuo, and then Custer goes with Marie. Probably the best character he could pick here. I would not mess with Isabella or Calc if I were him. I would just stick with Marie. Right, Kuo using long guard there to defend those thrusts, and then Custer is forced to back up. Kuo probably had an opportunity to stab there, but he didn't take it. Now his leg is injured. He's not closing in very much, but to be fair, he can't really move, so it might be better to, as we saw there, let your opponent come in instead, in that case. And that's what he did. Right, Kuo's taking his time here, but he's defending himself intelligently. There's a stab, and then a punch. He has to finish it off. There you go. I think he expected that stab to kill. Very often with Alexander's stab, you got to follow it up with a cut. It's a really good attack, but sometimes it doesn't kill. So it's really best seen as a setup instead of a killing blow. But if it kills your opponent in one hit, that's always fantastic. Now there's a good punch by Kuo. Kuo's figuring it out, closing the distance, punching and cutting your opponent. That's what you do. And there's a punch, but in Cortada recovery by Custer, it doesn't quite finish his opponent off. They've both hit each other. And Kuo finishes it. Kuo might get a flawless here. Mid-fight bet change. Wow, Vinard. That's funny. Yeah, Vinard did not bet very well in this one. Wow, Kuo just dominating that round. Very well done. Kuo's got it figured out. He has his rhythm. He knows what to do against Marie now. And Kuo earned third place. He definitely deserved to move on. There's no question about that after that performance. Embracing his inner brawler indeed. Now we've got the finals. The two best players in the tourney are about to fight now. Alright, so Raven will take the left side. I will restart the game as well because last time it didn't really work, and that's just a bug that happens with Steam Remote Play and Parsec, so just gonna kick you guys out and then send you guys the link as well while I'm at it. I'm not sure who to root for here. I mean, Raven's been doing a really good job and kind of came out of nowhere, but definitely proven that he knows what he's doing with Marie. And of course, Musashi, he's in Asia. He's dealing with terrible ping, most likely. Oh yeah, we're getting the double. Okay, well I guess you're in. That's kind of funny. I'm seeing two Musashis again. I think that's, again, something to do with the ping. But, oh wait. Never mind. That looks better now. You're both in, so that's good. And, let's go. Yeah, Raven's on the left, Musashi on the right. I think Musashi got in, right? Let's back away, hang on. Yeah, Musashi's in. Hopefully he's got control. I'm gonna look at tourney talks real quick. Hang on. Oh, whoops, I sent that in matchmaking. That's my bad. I wasn't paying attention. Your screen shows. Okay, let's just get going. Just make sure you do that in tourney talks. I didn't. That was a mistake I made, so. Alright. Alright, Raven, go ahead. Something seems to be going on. Yeah, it's just because I click off at times. Kobo says he can finally shower, so, alright. Alright, Venator wants Musashi to win. A lot of fans of Musashi here. But Raven is a bit of an underdog, like Vinard says, so it'd be nice to see Raven win, I think, as well, so. Seen some expert plays with Marie. Yeah, it does feel a bit surreal when people are commentating your fight, for sure. I know what you mean by that. I felt the same way in my first tournament. Even now, it feels really good to when you're praised by a commentator. But anyway, Musashi doing a very good job of closing that distance with long guard. Zero is rooting for Raven. So, members of the pro community are rooting for both players at this point. You've both got fans. Now, it's really interesting there. We saw some cuts by Raven finishing it with a stab. That is one way to overcome long guard, so. Yeah, see, Raven there is trying to beat the blade in order to get a stab in there and backing away to maintain distance. Musashi obviously knows he's got to close in. That stab failed, and then there's a bunch of cuts. Tries to finish it off there. Raven cannot quite do it. Even in the cutting game, Raven's dominating this current fight anyway, this flag. And then Raven's just stabbing just out of range, but harassing his opponent, who's tired from those hits earlier. And taking it slow, Musashi is the one who has to close in, after all. Well, that was a bit too much aggression by Raven, but amazingly that hit there might have enabled Raven to back away. So it might have, unfortunately, messed Musashi up because they're so close. That was a good kick by Musashi, upward cut. Tired swing, but then Raven does a slash and then a stab, and they're both able to back away from each other. This is a really intense fight here. Then some stabs by Raven, but that enables Musashi to just close in and stab. That can be the danger sometimes of poking and prodding. If you're doing that from too far away, your opponent can sometimes use that opportunity to close in and catch your blade. There is a kick by Musashi, but he gets cut as he does that. There's some good cutting action by Raven, but Raven can't quite finish it up. And that can be a problem with cutting with the rapier. There's a good bash by... Oh my goodness, Musashi got 3 cuts in there. It took 3 cuts to kill Raven. But he does it. And right now, Musashi has a good advantage. He's doing a really good job. Using that long guard to his advantage. Raven's got to find a way to more reliably deal with it. Because those cuts just aren't, well, cutting it so far. So... Oh, that was an Incortada attempt. Very good idea, I think, but it just didn't work out in that situation. I think Musashi was a bit too close. He was already raining down cuts, so that Incortada essentially had to catch his blade. Otherwise, it would not have kept him safe. Stab attempts, they do land, but only a slight hit there by Raven. It does crash through the long guard, which is good. There's a... Oh, that was interesting. There's a cut by Musashi, and then he does an upward slash. Alright, so Musashi, I'd say, dominating that round, really controlling the fight. But Raven's not out of this yet. Raven could easily turn this around. If Musashi gets overconfident, especially. Yeah, really interesting to see those leg swipes after the kick. You don't see Yazik kick a lot. Because a lot of Yazik players, of course, prefer the downward swings. Alright, Musashi on the left, Raven on the right. There we go. A little bit of a pause there, but that sometimes happens in these online Parsec fights, so... You gotta click twice and stuff, so... Alright, so long guard by both fighters, which is sensible. Obviously, Raven wants to catch that saber as well before it comes in. The problem is it is curved, so it might be able to curve around. Some people complain about that, how the curved blade can just curve around the sword, but that's often how the physics works, right? However, Raven's doing a really good job of maintaining that distance. I see that. Got close there, and Musashi capitalized. He was doing a good job earlier, though, I would say. That often happens when you're a commentator. You say, oh, this guy's doing this really well, and then immediately that changes. And then Musashi taking a stab there, but he manages to hit the face there. It's definitely a hard thing for Raven to deal with here, that curved blade combined with the long guard. Raven needs to find a way to beat that blade, I would say, and get a quick stab in. Another really well executed stab by Musashi. Musashi might get a flawless win at this rate. I think his experience against pro players is showing, but make no mistake, Raven has potential. If Raven keeps at it, we're going to see another really good competitor, too, in the future. And that was a good stab by Raven. Raven's not out of it yet. I would say if you're Raven, you want to wait for Musashi to throw his stab, and then break long guard and back away, disengage, and then do a stab of your own. That might be a good idea as well. Move in and out a bit and use your reach to your advantage. Unfortunately, Musashi, once again, catching the stab there to the face. Now, obviously, Raven wants to play this really cautiously. He's getting a bit cornered, though. Musashi is really dominating the pace of the fight and dominating the arena. Goes in relentlessly with a stab and some cuts. However, Raven's able to catch him several times. Different cuts and stabs in Incortada. Finishes it up. That was Raven was probably really stressed out in that whole sequence because that took a bunch of hits. But Raven is still in it. Now they're both kind of feeling each other out here, but obviously Musashi wants to close in. Raven gets a really nice stab to the body. If Raven's really patient here and uses his range, he can definitely win this one. That's really the big thing. If you want to counter a long guard, you just want to find a way to get that stab to whiff or to catch that blade just right and then counter thrust. It kind of goes both ways though, and unfortunately Musashi, as I was saying that, caught her blade and got a kill. So that means Musashi is the rising star. Very well played to Raven though this whole tourney. I mean, you have less experience than many of these players who showed up, even many of the novices, right? But you still did really well, despite that with Marie. I think Marie throws a lot of new players off, and you played Marie really well. So definitely keep at it. Musashi's not an easy opponent for anybody, really, at this point. So he just hasn't been on the server for very long, so he is a new player nonetheless. And so that's it. Happy New Year to everybody. It was a really, really fun tournament to commentate. Of course, Pixelmanny hasn't shown up, so I think I'll just delete him so that we know that he didn't participate at all. It just crosses him out since I've already started the tourney, but that's okay. That shows us that he was disqualified. It's not updating here, I don't think, but that's fine. Yeah, whatever. We know he was disqualified. That's on record, so... Yeah, no problem, Fofkus. I saw so many new players join, and so I thought this would be a really good tourney to get a lot of new players into the game and ease them into it a bit, because sometimes it's not very fun if you're dealing with a bunch of pro players and they just dominate you the whole time. I think dealing with training with new players is also part of the training experience, right? You learn how to fight people who are at around your skill level because they're really good sparring partners, right? So it also gives them a taste of what the competitive scene looks like, but it's still kind of relaxed, right? There's not like massive titles on the line. It's just the Rising Star title, but it's still a really big achievement nonetheless. And good to see that everybody's been showing good sportsmanship too. It's really good to see the community grow. And Musashi, I'm just going to give you your title here because you're officially a Rising Star at this point. And congratulations. We do have other tourneys planned after the new year. I know Venator's planning some things. Fro Fencer has a team tourney that he's going to have mid-January. I'm sure he'll announce that when the time comes. So keep an eye out for new events. The competitive scene will continue into 2023. So I think that's it, guys. Happy New Year, and I'll see you next time.